Welcome to those of you tuning in. Um, Welcome back to Grand Prix Talk. This is season 2, episode 6. Today on the show, we'll be discussing a case for IndyCar racing. I'm gonna try and put my case out there for why. By the way, the mic's not on, so don't worry. I'm gonna try and put my case out there as to why people should tune into IndyCar racing in this upcoming 2024 season. Sorry about that. And I'm also going to be talking about all this insanity going on at Red Bull right now, with Max and Ford and everything that we just went over this past Monday afternoon. So we should be in for a very, very good show this afternoon. So thanks for tuning in, and leave some comments, drop a like, share this out. And I hope y'all enjoyed the show this afternoon. We should be in for a very, very good one. Now, for some reason, I can't hear anything on my headphones, but I think I'll be fine. But anyway, all right, here we go, y'all. It's showtime here. Let's do this. I'm gonna take these off for right now. All right, y'all. Here we go. Showtime. Should be a good one. All right. Good morning, Los Angeles. Good morning, Long Beach. Hello, wherever you are tuning in from. Welcome, everybody, to Grand Prix Talk, the show that provides a Stanley Cup solo cup mindset to the Stanley Cup world of motorsports. My name is Sergio Morales. It's great to hear from y'all once again. It's great for y'all to be tuning in this afternoon to Grand Prix Talk. It's great to have you all, honestly. It's a great day outside. Make sure you get some sunlight because the rain is supposed to be coming later today. Though, given the weather right now, I'm not even sure if it actually will rain. We'll have to wait and see. But anyway, welcome everybody. To those of you tuning in, whether on the Sergio Show on YouTube, thanks for tuning in. If you want to tune in elsewhere, you can also tune in on the 22 West Radio app, now available on the Google Play Store and the App Store on iPhones. And you can tune in on 22westradio.com, which is our official website. We got a lot of great shows coming up this afternoon, including the Yuck radio show coming up at 2 p.m. later this afternoon. And we've got Bunker coming up at 10 p.m. later tonight for all you night owls out there. So tune in for all those shows. Right now we're here for Grand Prix Talk. You can follow me, Sergio Morales, on Instagram at Smorstagram. That is SMORstagram. Okay, goodness me, we have so much to cover on the show today. Jeez, I don't even know where to start. I brought my notes and everything, so I should be good. But, I mean, honestly, with just how much chaos has gone down this afternoon in the world of motorsport, I don't even know where to start. So I guess we'll start off with race results, because we had 2 races go down this past weekend. NASCAR took to the racetrack at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, while Formula One got their season underway at the Bahrain International Circuit. So we'll start off with a quick recap of the NASCAR Cup Series race that occurred just this past Sunday, the Pennzoil 400 presented by Jiffy Lube. Man, that's such a stupid name. At Las Vegas Motor Speedway. The green flag flew, give or take, around 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Oh, on that note, by the way, don't forget, I think this Sunday we are switching our clocks, move them forward 1 hour. I'll remind y'all before the show ends, so yeah, unfortunate, but either way. All right, so NASCAR in Vegas, here is your rundown. Based on the box score alone, according to NASCAR.com, you might think Kyle Larson dominated Sunday's Pennzoil 400 at Vegas. You'd be wrong. Yes, Larson led 181 of 267 laps at the 1.5-mile circuit in Vegas, with Kyle Busch leading the second most at a measly 18 laps. Let me say that again. Kyle Larson led 181 laps all day long out of 267, which easily puts him at number 1 for most laps led during Sunday's race in Vegas. The next driver to do that was Kyle Busch, who led only 18 laps, and Larson did sweep the first 2 stages. He took the race win. He tied Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski for most wins among full-time active NASCAR Cup Series drivers. The problem is, though, a hard-charging Tyler Reddick, who was driving for 2311 Racing. With a restart with 27 laps left, Tyler Reddick was just shy of catching up to Kyle Larson and the number 5 Hendrick Motorsports Chevrolet. Tough luck for Reddick once again, who still comes up short to another race win. Larson, during post-race interviews, had this to say: "I knew Tyler was going to be the guy to beat from the first stage. He was really fast there. I was hoping those guys were going to get racing a little bit longer behind me, because I felt like it was going to time out where he was running really hard and getting the toe to catch me at the end. Thankfully, I was able to air block him a couple of laps and get him tight. I thought him and 2311 teammate Bubba, or Bubba Wallace, were going to get working together again to build a run, so I was happy that didn't happen. But all in all, such a great job by this Hendrick Car Chevy team, and just their execution, pit roads, restarts, all that was great. Cool to get a win here at Vegas again, back-to-back, swept all the stages again, can't ask for much more." So Kyle Larson, yes, he dominated, but Tyler Reddick was really giving him a run for his money. Here is your top 10 drivers. Actually, I'll give you your top 20. So from 20th on back, 20th and 19th were Josh Berry and Daniel Hemrick. Alex Bowman and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. came 18th and 17th respectively. 16th place went to Austin Dillon, Carson Hocevar 15th, Eric Jones finished 14th, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott, and Daniel Suarez got 13th, 12th, and 11th respectively. Let's remember that Daniel Suarez was the winner the previous week at Atlanta Motor Speedway in that epic photo finish. The race winner the previous time before that, Daytona 500 champion William Byron, who was the newest Daytona 500 champion, would round out the top 10 in Vegas this past weekend. He finished 10th. Joey Logano for Team Penske would finish in 9th. Denny Hamlin and Martin Truex Jr., both Toyota drivers, finished 8th and 7th respectively, with Noah Gragson for Stewart-Haas Racing, which is in a bit of turmoil lately regarding their rebuild and everything. Noah Gragson would finish in 6th, being the second highest Ford finisher in the field. Now we're getting to your top 5. Ty Gibbs would finish 5th for Joe Gibbs Racing, his grandfather's namesake team. Ross Chastain for Trackhouse would finish 4th. Ryan Blaney would be the highest finishing Penske car and Ford overall, finishing in 3rd place. With Tyler Reddick coming just shy of another career win, he would finish in 2nd place. And Kyle Larson, like I said at the very beginning of this show, would steal the win by a long shot. So there's NASCAR for you from this past weekend. NASCAR takes to the track once again this coming Sunday, March 10th at 12:30 p.m. Pacific time. That's the Shriner Children's 500 at Phoenix Raceway. You can catch the race on Fox, Channel 11, tune in on the Motor Racing Network or Sirius XM. By the way, a little fun fact, Phoenix Raceway, this is going to be their first of 2 races that they're going to be holding. The same can be said for Las Vegas. The next time NASCAR will race in Vegas will be later on in the year when they head over for the playoff race happening there in the fall. And Phoenix Raceway will host not only this coming weekend's race, but they will also host the NASCAR Cup Series Championship in November. So stay tuned for that, closer to when it actually does happen. Moving on to Formula One. Man, what a boring race that was. Actually, it wasn't that bad because there was some decent action going on here and there. But for the most part, I can't really say much. I actually woke up to catch the race live as it happened, which was give or take at around, what was it? 6:45 a.m. is when I woke up to watch this race. Yeah, I don't know. I'm weird like that. But anyway, there wasn't too much to talk about other than, the usual. Max Verstappen domination. And my goodness, do we have a lot to talk about when it comes to Red Bull and Max Verstappen. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll get to that here shortly. But, yeah, there wasn't too much action, honestly, aside from the start, which saw a lot of good action between 2nd through 5th place, give or take, around the area. But once everything fizzled out, there really wasn't much to talk about aside from a brief caution flag that waved right around Sector 1 of the racetrack, or Sector 2, when Logan Sargent locked up his brakes, and it looked like I thought that he was going to stall the car, and that would necessitate a safety car or a virtual safety car. That wasn't the case because Logan was able to get up and running once again. Sadly for Logan, that incident would take him out of race win contention, or even a good finish for that matter. He would finish in 20th place, 2 laps behind the race winner. So with that, let's run down your race results. Logan Sargent, like I said, finishing 20th out of 20 drivers, which is a huge shame, honestly. He would be the one and only driver of the race to finish 2 laps behind. Valtteri Bottas, everyone else from 11th through 19th, if you went in the top 10 at this race, you were a lap down. That's how massive the gap was between 1st and 20th. 19th through 11th. 19th went to Valtteri Bottas, Pierre Gasly, and Esteban Ocon. Both drivers for Alpine finished 18th and 17th respectively. Nico Hülkenberg for Haas finished 16th. Williams driver Alexander Albon finished in 15th. Yuki Tsunoda and Daniel Ricciardo, both of our Toro Rosso, RB, sorry. Our RB drivers would finish 14th and 13th. Yuki Tsunoda behind Daniel Ricciardo in 14th. Kevin Magnussen would finish in 12th, and Zhou Guanyu would round out the 11th place position. All of these drivers that I just mentioned, like I said, they all finished one lap down. Only 20th place Logan Sargent finished 2 laps down. Everyone else from here on out in the top 10 finished on the lead lap, with 10th place just barely finishing on the lead lap, 93 seconds, or 1 minute and 33 seconds for in simpler terms, behind the race winner. Lance Stroll would finish in 10th place. Fernando Alonso, his teammate at Aston Martin, would finish in 9th place. Oscar Piastri would finish 8th for McLaren. Lewis Hamilton from Mercedes would finish in 7th. Let's remember, this is his final year in Mercedes, and it looks like it's off to a pretty decent start, I'd say. No doubt that Lewis Hamilton and his relationship at Mercedes will be a topic of discussion as the season progresses. 6th place went to Lando Norris for McLaren, and the other Mercedes driver who for sure we believe will stay, George Russell, would finish in 5th. Charles Leclerc for Ferrari would have finished in 4th. And on the podium stood Carlos Sainz for 3rd place, Sergio Perez in 2nd place, and race winner, who else? Max Verstappen would finish 1st, 22 seconds ahead of Sergio Perez, his teammate. That is absolutely bonkers, let me tell you that. I think we've already come to see that, Max Verstappen is definitely going to be winning races a lot with Red Bull Racing. But man, 22 seconds. P1 with Matt and Tommy, Matthew Gallagher from that show, he's starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, we might be in for a serious bowl of Max Verstappen domination here. And the answer is probably, because not only did he get that 1st place, he also scored the bonus point for fastest lap of the race. That lap time in question, if I can pull that up here, just give me a moment. Anyway, yeah, he pulled in 26 points, 25 for the race win, plus that 1 bonus point for the fastest lap of the race. That lap time was a 1 minute 32.608 with an average speed of 210 kilometers an hour. For context, the next fastest lap, 2nd fastest lap of the day, went to Charles Leclerc for Ferrari, a 1 minute 34.090, a gap of nearly 2 seconds between 1st and 2nd. Man, and here's the big kicker to it all. The average speed for Charles Leclerc during that 2nd fastest lap, was 207 kilometers an hour versus Max Verstappen's 210. Needless to say, Max Verstappen absolutely shredded the field during the race this past Sunday. And I think it shows because I ended up falling asleep, towards the last few laps of the race. What can I say? I woke up at like 6:45 a.m. and when I saw there was no action, I was honestly watching this from my bedroom. Wasn't very entertaining, but hey, what can I say? Max Verstappen continues his domination, picking up right where he left off, right at the end of the 2023 season. Formula One's next race will be the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, the STC Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. That is coming up this coming Sunday, so that will be it's going to be Saturday, my bad. Saturday morning, another Saturday morning race for us Californians. Practice 1 and 2 will be tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. for us here in California, and 9 a.m. for practice 2 tomorrow, Thursday. So am I going to have to watch this whilst I'm, in class? I don't recommend it, honestly. You didn't hear it from me, folks. Practice 3 will be 5:30 a.m. on Friday, with qualifying happening at 9 a.m. on Friday, 24 hours before the race itself gets underway, Saturday, March 9th at 9 a.m. You'll be able to watch that on F1 TV Pro and ESPN. The track time, by the way, it's 9 a.m. for us here in California. That is 8 p.m. for the folks over in Saudi Arabia. So keep an eye out for that. Built as the world's fastest street circuit, the Jeddah Corniche circuit is getting ready to host another edition of Formula One racing in Saudi Arabia. So, on the note of Formula One, let's talk about this mishmash that's going on at Red Bull. There's so much drama to cover there. First off, ESPN has reported that according to some other sources, Jos Verstappen, the father of Max, will not appear at the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix this coming weekend, in part because of all the probe going on with Christian Horner, who is the team principal for Red Bull Racing, currently in hot water after some very, very serious allegations regarding inappropriate behavior, so to speak. Ford, who is supposed to partner with Red Bull powertrains from 2026 onwards to build a new engine unit. Even the CEO of Ford, Mr. Jim Farley, according to AP News, CEO of Ford demands resolution of investigation into Red Bull team principal Christian Horner. This comes not too long after Ford shared an early impression, according to Formula1.com, that the partnership with Red Bull Racing was absolutely top-notch. So now there's this massive divide here, and it doesn't get any better because Autosport reports that a frustrated Ford also demands urgent resolution to Red Bull's Christian Horner investigation. Now let's remember that Red Bull, the company itself, has supposedly absolved Christian Horner of any wrongdoings, but the investigations continue as reported per Autosport. Here's what they have to say. As silence continues on the progress of Red Bull's probe into allegations made against Horner by a female employee, Ford has upped the ante in urging the energy drinks company to get on with the matters. According to a report by the Associated Press, Ford CEO Jim Farley has written to Red Bull, making it clear the brand is not happy with the lack of progress over a matter it thinks needs to be taken very seriously. Increasingly frustrated by the lack of resolution or clear indication from you about when you anticipate a fair and just resolution of this matter, says Ford. We are likewise frustrated by the lack of full transparency surrounding this matter with us, your corporate partners, and look forward to receiving a complete account on all findings. Farley demands that Red Bull gives prompt and serious attention to the matter. So now there's a rumor going around, and I'm going to throw my hand in the ring and see if it does happen. Does Ford leave the Red Bull partnership before 2026 because of all this? That partially, I think, depends on whether Max and Jos leave Red Bull Racing. Because obviously we've heard all the rumors going around that with Mercedes having an open seat for the 2025 season that is going to be vacated by Lewis Hamilton, Max Verstappen is one of the favorites to take that seat, if not Kimi Antonelli, who is the Formula 2 junior that we discussed last week. And also, if not him, then possibly Fernando Alonso, but I don't know, man. I feel like that's a bit of a stretch. I mean, hey, who knows, right? But now there's a rumor going around that because of the tensions between Jos Verstappen and Christian Horner regarding the probe, there's a possibility that Jos might take Max Verstappen with him away from Red Bull Racing. And Helmut Marko, who is one of the top dogs at Red Bull, even he has said that if Max leaves, we will not stop him. So it's completely up to Max and Jos as to whether or not they leave Red Bull Racing and possibly take the talent to Mercedes, who is, Toto Wolff is out here just kind of like, hey, I've got an open seat. If you want to come along, I'm more than happy to have you. Well, could that happen? I have no idea. I mean, honestly, it all comes down to how the probe goes about. Like, I'm not sure if they're actually going to pull the trigger too early, just because I feel like they might want to see until the investigation actually concludes, or if we hear anything about it, because I have to agree, I think it's pretty messed up that they're just trying to sweep this whole situation under the rug. Like, this is some pretty serious stuff, I want y'all to know. And to me, we need, like, actual transparency. Like, I have to agree with Ford on this one, that y'all gotta have some real transparency. And depending on how the investigation goes, if this was all just a bunch of drama, which, I highly doubt it, because this, like I said, this is some really serious allegations. And I highly doubt that you would actually want to just say, yeah, it was just drama. Like, nah, like, this is something really serious. So until the investigation concludes and we can actually hear the results about it, I feel like that's when Max and Jos and all them will actually pull the trigger as to what they want to do, whether they want to stay with Red Bull or if they want to go to Mercedes or whoever has an open seat available to them. Meanwhile, a little wild card that I think a lot of people aren't taking notice of is that this is also a contract year for Sergio Perez, who he's running on a 2-year contract that was renewed starting with the 2023 season after he won the 2022 Monaco Grand Prix. So Checo's on a contract year also, so I am left to wonder, is there a possibility that we could see an entirely new driver lineup for Red Bull from 2025 onward? I don't really know, honestly. But if Max leaves, then we probably will. I hate to say it because you already know I'm a huge Checo fan, but I just don't know if he's also going to be willing to stay with Red Bull or if he's going to try and pursue a seat elsewhere. You know, Ferrari's booked for 2025. Mercedes, they've got that one seat, but Max is, like I said, one of the favorites to take it. And then, if I'm not wrong, McLaren, they're booked also. Like, I don't know who else would really want Checo besides maybe Toro Rosso. I mean, Arby. You get my point. So I don't know. And regarding Ford, they're gonna wait also, but I understand that they're growing increasingly impatient. So I think they might wait also until the investigation yields any results. But even then, I don't doubt that Ford might also leave. Like, it's just such a mess, man, honestly. And I don't doubt that we're going to hear more about this Red Bull civil war within the next week or two. Like, we're probably going to hear more about it after the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Like I said, Jos is not expected to attend, so which sucks for poor little Max. I am left to wonder how that's going to result for him. But we will see. That is my take on this entire dilemma. And let's hear from others. Let's have a little look online and see what other people have to say. TheJudge13.com, which looks like to be a fan-run online blog, something. Yeah, they have this to say. Red Bull Racing, a powerhouse in the world of Formula One, finds itself at a crossroads due to recent controversies surrounding team principal Christian Horner. The team, known for its competitive spirit and innovative approach to motorsport, had announced a promising partnership with Ford to produce engines for the 2026 season. We knew that. But that partnership, and potentially the team's future in the sport, now hangs in the balance. What began as an open letter from Ford Motor Company following the Horner case now appears to be a significant threat to the future relationship between Red Bull Racing and the American manufacturing giant. The start of the Formula One season in Bahrain was overshadowed by the controversy surrounding Red Bull Racing team principal Christian Horner. The paddock and commentators found it difficult to concentrate solely on the racing as discussions turned to Horner's situation despite his refusal to comment or give an opinion on the allegations against him in an attempt to protect his reputation from a wave of negative content. Yeah, I don't know. So that's all I have to say. Ford, everyone's just gonna wait until this yields results, but honestly, I'm not sure. All I can say is that if this ends up being for real, like, which it sounds very much like it is, that is really gonna put Red Bull in a very, very dangerous position. Honestly, that's all I gotta say. With regards to Max leaving, Checo on a contract year, Ford possibly they're possibly leaving the deal they had with Red Bull. Man, I don't envy the people at Red Bull right now, honestly. I really don't. But we'll have to wait and see how this goes. I hope to have some more information from all this in the coming days, weeks, and I can share it with you all here on the show. So, I hate that part ended up on such a sour note. But after this break, we are going to cover some more positive news regarding the World Endurance Championship, and the rest of the show will be all about IndyCar racing. So, yeah, I gotta take a quick breather here, so I'll leave you here with a little music. You heard Robotaki's Dreamcatcher, a collaboration with Miko, in the Night Mix, one of the songs from the Forza Horizon 5 soundtrack, which you can listen to on Horizon Base Arena. Playing for you right now is a song from the F123 video game soundtrack. This is Oi by Catching Flies. So we'll be right back with Grand Prix Talk, where we're going to be talking all things IndyCar, and I'm very excited to share all about that with you. So stay with us. We'll be right back. All right, there you go. We'll be right back here shortly. I'm just going to flip the camera down, and I'll be back. Okay, cool.
Let's see. It's peaking. Just make sure to watch that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why. So, now you should be able to hear it from the headphones.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. I was able to hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. And we're gonna pause right there. We'll come back with Tiesto and 1035 here shortly. But it's great to have you all. Whoops, hang on, my camera is down. Now we're back up. All right, everybody, welcome back to Grand Prix Talk. Shout out to our homies at K-Pop Corner. I do love me some Twice, after all. That was Talk That Talk, a brief preview. K-Pop Corner broadcast Tuesdays and Thursdays, I believe, at 1 p.m. So if you like Korean pop music, then that's your show. But if you like racing, then this is your show. We are back on Grand Prix Talk. You just heard Oi by Catching Flies. Oi like the Aussie greeting, it seems. Part of the F123 soundtrack. And anyway, with that said, I think we've had enough Formula One chatter for today, which is why we're going to start talking about other racing series that I think deserve just as much recognition. But first, we got some news to cover here with Dale Earnhardt Jr., one of the most respected NASCAR figures out there right now. Well, it turns out that Dale Earnhardt Jr. will be leaving NBC Sports, so we will no longer be hearing him on the NBC Sports booth. Instead, it looks like the reports are coming out that he might be headed to Amazon Prime Video. As we know, Amazon Prime Video will be one of several networks that is going to cover NASCAR racing from the 2025 season onwards, with NASCAR having a mega deal, having scored television all over the place. They have Fox, they have NBC, they have TNT, and now they have Prime Video. So they're going to be everywhere, and that's good to see. I think my issue is that they're kind of trying to replicate the NFL in terms of how many networks actually get to broadcast them. And Dale Earnhardt Jr. decided to one of them, Prime Video. Now, my personal reaction to this is it's a big loss for NBC, who I think make one of the better motorsports coverage. I mean, just look at what they do with IndyCar racing. But it might be a serious gain for Amazon Prime Video, who could really use some serious reworkings as far as their sports broadcastings go. I'm going to deviate from racing here briefly, but I want to get my point across as to why Amazon Prime Video can benefit from someone like Dale Earnhardt Jr. joining their leagues. So Amazon Prime Video now has NFL's Thursday Night Football games, and I watched one between the New Orleans Saints and the Los Angeles Rams last December. Go Rams, by the way. That's my team right there. And I have to say, like, some of the touchdowns, like one of the touchdowns that the Rams made during the game was absolutely fantastic. And what do I hear from the commentators? And it's caught. Touchdown. In the most mundane and just, like, just boring manner possible. Like, you literally just saw a big old touchdown and y'all didn't cover it properly. And also, it kind of looks like, yeah, the commentators might be knowledgeable in football, but not in terms of hype or anything like that. Like, they really, like, I don't know. That's where I think Amazon Prime Video can really benefit from someone like Dale Earnhardt Jr. joining, because he has all the insight that you could possibly ask for. Kind of like Kevin Harvick with Fox Sports. And he's also got, like, good energy that we can bring in and just make it seem like whatever's going on there is actually exciting, which is what we want to hear, right? So that's my take on Dale Earnhardt Jr. leaving NBC Sports and possibly heading to Amazon Prime Video. But that will be in the 2025 season, so we'll have to wait till then. In other news, a painfully underrated championship in racing, the FIA World Endurance Championship, is now streaming on HBO Max, or just Max for, anyone who actually calls it Max, because I don't. HBO Max is now expanding their sports portfolio. They recently had the U.S. men's and women's national soccer teams added to their portfolio. Now they have the FI World Endurance Championship as part of their BR Sports combo. So you can stream live sports on HBO Max with Dolby Vision and Dolby Atmos, which is makes it all look very, very nice. The FI World Endurance Championship joins the NBA on TNT, the NHL on TNT, NCAA March Madness, MLB on TBS, and the U.S. national soccer teams as the leagues that HBO Max will be broadcasting. The 8 hours of Bahrain was 1,000 kilometers. The first race of the season in Qatar, is available to stream fully on HBO Max, and I expect most of the races will be as well. So that's very exciting stuff. It's great to hear that the World Endurance Championship is starting to put their name out there. They really do deserve it. They have brands like BMW, Lamborghini, Cadillac, a lot of brands that you and I have heard of are actually competing in the big leagues of the FI World Endurance Championship, and it is so good to hear that they're actually putting their name out there in the United States. For context, here's a few of the brands that are actually there. Alpine, yeah, the same team that's in Formula One, they're there. BMW is there, Cadillac is there, Ferrari is here, Lamborghini, who is the crosstown rival to Ferrari, Peugeot, that is spelled Peugeot, they're a French team, yeah, so they're definitely rivals with Alpine. Porsche, rivals with BMW, and Toyota, who have yet to find a rival, but hey, it's still all of these brands that are very familiar. And let's not forget that in smaller categories like the GT3 Championship, which is also part of the FI World Endurance Championship, Ford is here, the Chevrolet Corvette is here, Aston Martin is here also. It's very, very exciting times for the World Endurance Championship. It's so good to hear that not only is their brand portfolio expanding, but they're also being put in front of American television screens. That league really does deserve it. We'll be talking more about the World Endurance Championship going forward, because now I have a way to keep up with them. And now you will too, here on Grand Prix Talk. So exciting times ahead for the World Endurance Championship. But if you feel like the World Endurance Championship maybe is a little too expensive to go to, which I get it because they are literally all over the world, then IMSA also is here, and they're going to have a race coming up pretty soon. That will be the 12 Hours of Sebring, after which they will come over to the Long Beach Street Circuit. More on that shortly. Next up, the Lionheart. IndyCar is also starting to put their name out there. And by the way, from here on out, today's rest of the show will be all things IndyCar. We start off with the Lionheart, a new documentary film that is centered around the life of the now deceased driver Dan Weldon. Rest in peace. The Lionheart is set to land where else but HBO Max, and that launches on March 12th. So 6 days from now, next Tuesday, The Lionheart, a new film based on the life of Dan Weldon, is launching on HBO Max. which is great to hear. Again, another case of IndyCar actually taking a W and starting to put their name out there in the lieu of all this F1 drama. This is where I think IndyCar should really take advantage and position themselves as the anti-F1, as David Land once said. Like, actually, like, do what F1 can't. You know, put your name out there, brag about the competition, the highly competitive nature of IndyCar racing. Like, this is your chance, IndyCar, and it's good to see that we're going to see a good documentary film, because this film has actually won awards, including at Sundance, if I'm not wrong. The Sundance Film Festival. So that is the Lionhearts. And now from here on out, we get into all the actual racing stuff. Now, I invite you all to go over to the Pikes Peak outlets, what am I saying? To the Pike outlets down in downtown Long Beach, and keep an eye out if you see any sort of construction going on, like, 14 million pounds of concrete blocks and 4.25 miles of fencing, among a bunch of different other things. That's because down in downtown Long Beach, track construction is officially underway to start setting up the streets of downtown Long Beach for the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. The 49th edition of the race is scheduled to take place this coming April 19th through the 21st. I actually got an email not too long ago from the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach regarding how their construction is going, which, like I said, it has just recently begun. It's been a while since we've been in touch with you, but now that track construction is underway, we are now basically 6 weeks away from the weekend green flag. So track construction got underway on Thursday, February 29th. Among the things that are going to take place around downtown Long Beach, here are some of the materials that they're going to take to put up the racetrack. More than 2,400 concrete blocks will anchor the safety system around the near 2-mile road street circuit. 14 large grandstands will line up the race course as well. 1,309, let's see, hang on, no, sorry, my bad. Over 33,000 working hours will be thrown into installing the safety system. Those 2,400 concrete blocks will weigh more than 14 million pounds combined, 4.25 miles of fencing, and 17,000 bolted together tires. All of that along those 14 large grandstands, 6 pedestrian bridges, and 9 giant vision boards for full circuit TV coverage. There will also be 50 high-end hospitality suites, 3 hospitality clubs, tents, electrical lines, and equipment, as well as phones, porta-johns, trash containers, and a myriad of other items around the track. So, if you go to the Pikes later today or later during the week and you notice that there's a bunch of construction going on, don't say you weren't told, because here on Grand Prix Talk, we told you track construction is underway for our home race here in the streets of Long Beach. Exciting times ahead here in downtown, I would say. We should be in for a good show at the Grand Prix. That will be April 19th through the 21st, 2024. Tickets are on sale now at gplb.com. So get your tickets now. Like, it looks like we're in for some good stuff here in Long Beach. But that's still over a month away. IndyCar is not going to wait until then to start their season. They're starting their season this weekend. And more on that here shortly. But first, we got to cover this. You remember a few weeks ago, we covered how David Malukas would actually miss the season opening race in St. Petersburg because he was injured in a bike accident. David, we wish you a speedy recovery, my friend. Callum Ilott, who was racing not too long ago in the World Endurance Championship, he will be taking the place of Era McLaren driver David Malukas. So Callum Ilott will take the place of car number 6 in St. Petersburg this Sunday. So keep an eye out for that. I think he raced last season for Juncos, if I'm not wrong. Juncos Hollinger Racing. And, well, it left quite a bit to be desired. So here's Callum's chance to actually prove that he's got the beans and that he can do well in the IndyCar racing world. So we'll be keeping an eye out for Mr. Callum Ilott to do well in IndyCar this weekend. All right, y'all. Now it's time for the main subject of the show, a case for IndyCar racing. Because I've been yapping all about different types of categories of racing, but I was especially propping up IndyCar. So what is it about IndyCar racing that makes it so special, I hear you ask? Well, allow me to present you to the world of NTT IndyCar Series competition. It's that time of year when the winter freeze quickly turns into the heat of thrilling wheel-to-wheel action. The NTT IndyCar Series and its support series, the Indy Next by Firestone, will launch their 2024 seasons on the palm tree lined streets of St. Petersburg, Florida, for the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg presented by RP Funding. If I'm not wrong, that race is celebrating its 20th edition this year, so that's going to be a great one to watch for sure. So, what do we have in store for the 2024 season? Well, we have quite a few traditional favorites. New to 2024, a made-for-TV $1 million challenge at the Thermal Club, which is supposed to be a spectacular racing event set among extraordinary scenery, just a quote-unquote short drive from Los Angeles. A return to the historic Milwaukee Mile for a thrilling doubleheader, a racetrack that IndyCar has not been to since 2015. The night race at Iowa Speedway returns as well after years of daylight racing, even though fans had clamored, myself included, for it to be a night race. Well, we're finally gonna get it. Worldwide Technology Raceway will also return to nighttime competition, which is something I'm especially thrilled about. The first time they had that, I think in a long time, in 2019 was an absolute thriller of a race, or was it 2018? Sorry. And lastly, the season finale for 2024 will be at the Nashville Superspeedway, which, as you know, garnered a very, very positive reaction from fans of all strides with IndyCar racing. So what does our schedule look like for the 2024 season of IndyCar competition? And where will its support series, the Indy Next, land and join them? Well, it's been a while since Indy Next actually went to Long Beach, and I'm afraid they will not be doing that again this year. So I'll run you down the IndyCar schedule. The 20th Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg will take the green flag this coming Sunday, March 10th at 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can watch that on NBC, on the Peacock streaming service, and if you're a Spanish listener, you can also tune in on NBC Universal, which will offer the Spanish broadcast for the race. So that will be at 9 a.m. on Sunday. You can also tune in on IndyCar Radio Live and Sirius XM, as will be the case for all of these races. A non-points paying event will happen here in California on March 24th at the Thermal Club, which is supposed to be not too far away from LA. It's supposed to be like in Palm Springs. So the Thermal Club $1 Million Challenge will be on March 24th at 9:30 a.m. Pacific. And then it's the big one for us here at 22 West. The Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach will take place on April 21st at noon for us here in California. That will be April 21st. Be there or be square. The Children of Alabama Indy Grand Prix will take place at the Barber Motorsports Park. That will be round number 4 following the Acura Grand Prix of Long Beach. That's April 28th at 10 a.m. And then the month of May, we're going to see some great competition, no doubt about it, this coming month of May. It'll start with the Soncio Grand Prix on May 11th at noon here, time for us here in California. And the key event of the IndyCar Series for 2024, the big one, the granddaddy of them all, the 108th running of the Indianapolis 500 will take place May 26th at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, or Pacific Daylight Time by that point. That's going to be the big one, and I really suggest you don't miss that one. The month of June features 3 races on the streets of Detroit on June 2nd. At the Granddaddy Road America road course, the XPEL Grand Prix of Road America will be on June 9th. And the third and final race of the season in California, but that will be up north in the middle of the state. The Firestone Grand Prix of Monterey at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca is scheduled for June 23rd at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. Lastly, so that's June. The month of July will feature a lot of races, including a doubleheader. It'll all kick off on the Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course with the Honda Indy 200 presented by the 2025 Civic Hybrid. That will be on July 7th, right after the 4th of July, mind you. Then we have the first of 2 doubleheaders coming up for the 2024 season. That will be at Iowa Speedway on July 13th and 14th. One of the races will be a Saturday night showdown on July 13th at 5 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. And July 14th will be a Sunday afternoon race at 9 a.m. Pacific. And then the Honda Indy Toronto, a long-standing race on the IndyCar schedule, and the one race that takes place outside the United States for IndyCar so far. That will be in Toronto, Ontario, Canada on July 21st. Then IndyCar will take an extended break before another 3 races are scheduled for the month of August, starting with an August 17th Saturday night showdown under the lights near St. Louis, Missouri. The Bommarito Automotive Group 500 at Worldwide Technology Raceway in Gateway awaits on August 17th. The BitNile.com Grand Prix of Portland will see the IndyCar Series return to the West Coast for a race on the Portland International Raceway. I was at one of these races, and let me tell you, it was a lot of fun. BitNile.com will sponsor, so the Grand Prix of Portland is scheduled for August 25th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time. And then it's the second and final doubleheader of the season with the Hy-Vee Milwaukee Mile 2 and 250s. Race 1 will be August 31st under the lights at 3 p.m. Pacific Time. And September 1st, the very next day, we'll see race number 2 at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Time. And last but not least will be the Big what did I just say? The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix. Excuse my language there. The Big Machine Music City Grand Prix will occur on September 15th at 12 p.m. Pacific Time. That will be on September 15th at the Nashville Super Speedway, which that's a lot better than, honestly, the Nashville Street Circuit. So there you go. I just ran you down your entire 2024 schedule. 17 races. We have 2 doubleheaders. We have the return of Saturday night racing. We have an oval crowning a champion. We have homecoming here in the Long Beach Grand Prix. Well, at least for me personally. And of course, the big one, the Indy 500 at the end of the month of May. We are in for some great competition as far as the schedule is concerned. Indy Next will join them on the streets of St. Petersburg, Alabama, St. Petersburg, Florida, the Grand Prix of Alabama, the Indy Grand Prix. They're going to have double headers there at Indianapolis. They'll also be joining them at Detroit, Road America, a doubleheader in Monterey, California, and a race in Mid-Ohio, a one race in Iowa, another one at Worldwide Technology Raceway, Portland, Milwaukee, and Indy Next will also crown a champion at Nashville Super Speedway. So there you go. All of these races for both Indy Next and IndyCar, both IndyCar races and Indy Next will be scheduled. You can watch all of it on NBC, USA Network, and Peacock will be broadcasting all of these races from the comfort of your home. Shout out from Chicago. What's going on, cuz? Hey, thanks for tuning in, Chicago. It's nice to hear from you all. I know you guys are getting a NASCAR race in the middle of July, so I hope you all have a great one. Thanks for tuning in, Chicago. It's nice to hear from you all. Man, it's great when people from other cities actually tune in. So nice to hear from you, man. All right, there you go. That is your 2024 schedule. Like I said, you can watch all the races on the Peacock streaming service. Most of these big races will be on either NBC or USA Network. So keep an eye out for that. There's your 2024 schedule. All right, Sergio, so why should I tune into IndyCar racing? You gave me the schedule, so why should I tune in? I'll tell you this. When Formula One is seeing the same guy win every week, you know, granted, we're going to look back on this era of Formula One competition, and we're going to think to ourselves like, hey, man, you know, that's kind of boring. Yeah, domination by one driver or one team, it's dreaded in the present, but looked back on fondly in the future. But we're currently living in the present, and so it's not looking good. That's where IndyCar comes in, because we don't really have that much domination as you would think. If anything, IndyCar, can you even make predictions with this league? That's one of the biggest things about this league that I love so much, is that one week some guy could win, the next you might not even see him finish the race. IndyCar is set for one of its best seasons so far, with the 2024 season seeing the potential debut of a hybrid power unit similar to what's going on in F1. Take that as you will. I know I could hear some groans in the background, but you know, it's also part of what's going on in the auto industry. But there will finally be an update to the long-used 2.2-liter twin-turbo V6 engines with the hybrid technology that is set to debut apparently after the Indy 500, so after the month of May. What they will include is a light 3D printed titanium aeroscreen top frame without compromising overall strength and durability. So that's really cool to see. Other new elements to take note of for the 2024 season. From a safety perspective, the 2024 spec IndyCars will feature the addition of LEDs on rear wing end plates for better visibility for trailing drivers during rainy conditions, and redesigned brake rotors designed to improve cooling. Specific to racing on ovals, the 2024 spec IndyCars will feature the addition of a stronger front wheel bearing retaining nut to match the implementation of the updated rear wheel bearing retaining nut in 2023. This update follows a meticulous review of the incident at the 2023 Indy 500 involving Kyle Kirkwood, driver of the number 27 Andretti Global car and the number 6 car of Aaron McLaren, which resulted in the loss of the left rear wheel assembly of the number 27. You'll remember when one wheel went flying out of the racetrack? That's what they're trying to improve upon. Thank the Lord, no one was hurt. That was a really scary incident to watch, honestly. Sustainability is becoming a bit of a talking topic with IndyCar, as highlights include, in 2023, the first ever use of Shell's 100% renewable race fuel, continued use of renewable diesel for all IndyCar team transporters supporting the series, and brand new Firestone Firehawk alternate race tires with green rubber, Guayule rubber, with a green coloring to it on the side stripe, not the actual tire itself. So that should make for a pretty good season, with sustainability being a big topic of concern. Some drivers that I recommend you keep an eye on for the 2024 season, one of them is Scott Dixon, the 6-time champion of the series. You really rarely ever go one season of IndyCar racing without talking about Scott Dixon. 6-time champion, he is looking for a record-tying 7th championship in the IndyCar Championship in 2024. He fell just short of that last season when his own teammate Alex Palou took the title. We'll talk more about Alex Palou briefly. But Scott Dixon, he rarely goes a season without winning a race. He's been doing that for ages now, and he is now looking, like I said, for his 7th championship. The most recent championship he won was in 2020, in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So Scott Dixon is definitely a driver you want to keep an eye on. He drives the number 9 PNC Bank Honda. The New Zealand driver is set for some great things this season for sure, and I'm very excited to see him back on the track. So car number 9, Scott Dixon, is definitely a driver you want to keep an eye on. Another one is his own teammate, defending IndyCar Series champion Alex Palou. This guy went on a rampage towards the end of last season, winning the championship one race early, which was the first time that had happened since in 17 years, if I'm not mistaken, which is an insanely long time compared to F1, where the last time that happened was 2021. Granted, in bizarre and honestly thrilling circumstances, but still. Alex Palou is definitely a driver you want to keep an eye on. He's nominated as one of the most talented drivers anywhere in racing right now, and it's easy to see why. He will drive the number 10 DHL Honda for Chip Ganassi Racing, even though he was the topic of some serious controversy regarding his contract with Ganassi and that of McLaren. So we'll see what happens there, but that should be an interesting topic to watch. Alex Palou, teammates to Scott Dixon, another driver that you want to watch. And of course, how can we talk about IndyCar racing without talking about Team Penske? Their 3 drivers for this season are Scott McLaughlin, Joseph Newgarden, and Will Power. Now, of all of these drivers, I would say keep an eye on the latter 2. Scott McLaughlin, do not underestimate him though. I think he's definitely a guy you want to keep an eye on. He makes some great loud noise whenever he actually runs up towards the front. But his teammates have done more in IndyCar, realistically speaking, so it's Scott's time to catch up, I'd say, and I hope he can do it. Joseph Newgarden is the defending Indianapolis 500 race winner. He won it in 2023 in the final lap shootout between himself and the year prior's winner, Marcus Ericsson. So Joseph Newgarden will be looking to build upon his Indy 500 victory, maybe go back-to-back, or even take a 3rd IndyCar championship. Joseph has 2 as of currently. And another driver who also has 2 championships and an Indy 500 race win is my personal favorite driver in the IndyCar series, Mr. Will Power, driver of the number 12 Verizon Chevrolet. Interestingly for Will, he went winless last season in 2023. However, part of that might be able to be attributed to the health of his wife Liz, who it seems, I'm just hearing about this, Liz Power actually had a very difficult battle with her health last year. The good news is that she is feeling much better, it seems, and Will looks like he is also doing better thanks to that. So we'll have to wait and see how that goes about, but that should enable Will to lift a weight off his shoulders and get back out on the racetrack and get after it. It's time for Will to break out his winless streak, get back to winning races. Hopefully he can do it. So Team Penske is another team you want to keep an eye on in 2024. So there you have it. There is my first case for why you should watch IndyCar racing in 2024. The first race is the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. One more time, this Sunday, March 10th, 9 a.m. Pacific on NBC and on the Peacock streaming service. Or if you're a Spanish viewer, you can also watch it on NBC Universal. There you have it, everybody. That is Grand Prix talk for today. Man, what a packed show I had to go through today, but it is very much a privilege and I enjoyed it. And yeah, honestly, I think it was a great show today for sure. So I'm going to take my leave now, everybody. Thank you all so much for tuning in to today's episode of Grand Prix Talk. You can follow 22 West Radio on Instagram, on Twitter, on YouTube, everywhere at 22 West Radio. You can follow me on Instagram at Smorstagram and subscribe to my YouTube channel, The Sturgio Show, which is broadcasting all of these episodes of Grand Prix Talk live as I'm speaking to you right now. And you can follow me on Instagram at Smorstagram. That is SMOR-stagram. That's it for today. Tune in next week. We'll be talking about IndyCar and we'll see if we have any news regarding Formula One and the whole Red Bull drama. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. See you next time. Alright, I made a little mistake there in ending the show, but, we'll be fine. Thank you all for tuning in. Shout out to the viewers and listeners from Chicago. Thank you all. And I will see you all next week. Take care.